This is the Alpine A110 Legend. It is powered by a 1.8 litre turbocharged unit that is literally right behind my head. The thing is, you will need at least £50,000 to even think about buying one of these cars. And that puts it in the, it's a bit pricey, isn't it, bracket. So let's see just what it's about. Oh, nice.
First thing you realise when you get inside of this actually very beautifully crafted little cabin is that it is very, very proud of the fact that it is made in France. In fact, it's made in Dieppe. If you're watching this, then you are undoubtedly a car fan, and therefore it is reasonable to assume that you will have seen the episode of Top Gear where the prototype version of this exploded into flames while Chris Harris was driving it. And yeah, that's an interesting one, because today is technically the hottest day of the year in the UK and it is sweltering, so I'm hoping that the same fate does not fall to me. So what can I tell you about the Alpine A110 that won't have been covered in other reviews? Well, I could tell you about performance, and I could tell you about how light it is. It does have performance. It will do 0 to 60 in around about 4.5 seconds, and it is very light. It is 1,100 kilograms kind of light, and that makes me the heaviest thing about this car. I think right now I probably make up around about 10% of its overall weight, and that's depressing. But let me tell you what it is like to experience this car. First of all, it is very, very small, and because it is so light, it is a little bit like driving a go-kart around on the road. And by that, what I mean is, if there's any kind of undulations, any kind of changes, differences in tarmac, the car will drag you left and right through those imperfections on the road. And that's perfectly normal if you've driven a go-kart, or if you've driven something like, say, one of these. And that makes for quite an experience. It's not a problem, you get used to it, but it's something to be aware of. Let me address the elephants in the room. Elephant number one. Yes, Alpine is owned by Renault. And no, I can categorically tell you that this doesn't just feel like an expensive Renault. I'll be completely honest. Are there bits in here that are lifted from other Renault cars? Yes. Okay, so let me tell you, when you're behind the wheel, everything that you touch, everything that you feel, and more importantly, the driving experience does not, and I repeat this, does not feel like a Renault. Even one of their swanky hot Renaults, like the Megane Trophy RS, it doesn't feel like that. This is super, super engineered. You can tell that it is built from the ground up to be its very own entity. It is designed to be a very special and very significant car in its own right. Elephant number two. Because of the cost, it finds itself being compared to an Audi TT, even an Audi TT RS, and the Porsche Cayman. That's if you compare it on price alone. If you start to compare those cars on how it feels to drive, how connected are you to the experience, how do you feel when you get in and you walk away, those things aren't about price, they're about you. They're about how you feel. How I feel about this car through here, through these, and through my general ambiance. This is a very special car and cannot be compared to its rivals, because it is doing something different. It's adding a little bit of fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think that's really important in a car like this, because it is designed primarily for fun. Even the look of it, the nose, the rear end, all of it looks scrappy. It looks like it's having fun. It looks like it wants you to have fun. The little dashings of France all over the place. The French flags, the tricolore, all over the place. Even on the electronics. On the dashboard, when you go through the settings, when you're picking what gear you're in, when you put it into sport mode, oh yeah, the French flag is absolutely everywhere. I like that. I'm glad that it is proud, that it is a strong French brand, and that it was built in France and designed in France. And actually, do you know what? It's probably meant to be driven in France as well, because the roads over there, particularly the south of France, it lends itself to this little rocket. In terms of the equipment that you get, this is the Legend spec. So this has comfort seats. You can spec very fancy buckets racing seats that once they are in the position for you, you can't change, and God help anyone that buys the car from you, they'll have to send it back to Alpine to change it round, which will add to the sporty feel. The electronic cockpit in front of me is very, very good. It's nice and clear, and when you put it into sport mode, it comes up with all the kind of things that you'd want. The infotainment is your bog standard. You've got your sat nav, you've got your DAB digital radios, but because this is a car designed to be tracked, you can go on there and select your track times, your G meters, G-force meters, all that kind of thing. A little bit of consumer advice while we're here. If the tank is shouting at you to go and fill it up with petrol, you can fill it up to the top for 50 quid. And if you don't drive like an absolute buffoon, then that'll get you around about 300 miles. However, all the spec aside, it is about how this drives. The little red button on the steering wheel that says Sport will put this car into sport mode. As soon as you press that sport button, the dashboard changes, the exhaust note audibly changes, everything gets a bit sharper, and you can do this. This is a phenomenal bit of kit. It puts a smile in your face. It makes you happy. It makes you want to drive again. Just drive all day. Now, when you're in sport mode, it burbles, the exhaust pipe crackles, it snaps. It's just glorious. Alpine have done such a fantastic job with this car. Everything about it, the seating position, the seats, where your steering wheel is, the distance of the pedals to each other, everything has been thought out. It's so good! Oh, and because it's so light, the performance is instant. It's instant. It just absolutely takes off. And if you're not ready for that kind of performance, it will take you by surprise. It can be scary. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic.